Hello, I'm Mr. Orange and this is video hashtag 652. In this video, I'll be reviewing and discussing 16 Season 1 Episode 18. It's called Bring It On. I can arguably say this is probably one of the worst episodes of 16, possibly worst episode in Season 1. Well, first of all, it's a gender war episode. I hate gender war episodes. This is something that shows would do back in the early 2000s. We would have shows back then where girls versus boys, which who's the superior gender because they do certain tasks. I just think it's so stupid. Like 16 would do it, other shows would do it. It's just, I'm glad we're past that. But even still, like when I was a kid, this episode really soured my mood. I can tell you there's nothing about this episode I find likable. Anyway, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Right now this channel has 599 subscribers. We only need one more subscribers to reach the 600 subscriber milestone, and that will be, fun. And if I reach the 600 milestone, I might do a Q&A session for another video. So if you have any questions for me, make sure to put them down in the comment section down below. Anyway, all that sorted, let's get into this video. And immediately at the start of this episode, this episode really aggravates me. First of all, Josie just goofs off and makes pranks at Jen. I swear to God, he's the worst ever. He can just never leave Jen alone. Mind you, Josie is Jen's potential stepbrother. So not only Jen has to, face, Jonesy's annoyance at home, probably, but now he has to face him at work. I really feel for Jen, I really do. Jonesy is the worst. And Coach Holder is reminding me why I hate this guy. He is a complete arsehole, a real misogynistic arsehole. I hate Coach Holder. He's praising Jonesy for goofing off. If Jen did this, Coach Holder wouldn't say anything. He would, scold at her. Like, Jonesy can prank at Jen, and that's okay. But if Jen, pulls out a prank, she gets in trouble. In the previous episode, Jen and Nikki pulled a prank on, Coach Holder, but that was okay. I freaking hate Coach Holder. I hope he dies. Even with his personality alone, Coach Holder just strikes me as a misogynistic man. Also, Jen needs to understand that Jonesy does know how to do his job. He just doesn't, do it. He just geeks off. That's his thing. Jonesy has been in many jobs, so he should know, what to expect from the penalty box. Also, Jen is really, generous of offering a job for Jonesy at the penalty box. But this, makes me, question, what if Jonesy had the other guy's jobs? What if he worked at Spin This, Stick It? He could possibly work at the Lemon, and he can't complain he wouldn't like to work there. He worked at the Lime before and other embarrassing jobs. And Jan used to work at the Lemon, so why can't Jonesy? He did work at, Khaki Barn. And he was that mystery shopper, a few episodes ago. Anyway, the theme song is coming up, which means it's time for an intermission. Anyway, I want to start off this intermission by asking you guys, how are you? How are you doing? Are you doing good today? Just so you know, intermissions are presented in this channel to break away for the normal video, I've seen, Quentin Reviews do it in his channel, and I wanted to adopt this idea. So let me know if you think this is a good idea. Do you think having intermissions in this channel is good? Or do you think this is annoying? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, for additional information, just a precursor to the Q&A video, I did have a question that's rolling in usually, and I just wanted to answer that one question. The question is, what do you do for work? And I can answer this question for you. Well, my work and job is this, YouTube. YouTube is my work and job. I fully dedicate my job to this, YouTube space. It's where I thrive, it's what makes me happy. I wouldn't have any other job. Let me know what you do for work in the comments. What do you hope to do if, as a job if you're not working? We can share about this in the comments. Now the intermission is over, let's get back in. But if I have to be really critical between Jen and Josie, Josie is a better salesperson than Jen. That's just a given. Like we can say, Josie does badly in jobs, he gets fired easily, but that doesn't mean that he is terrible at sales. And Jen is most likely to keep her job. But honestly, having a job, in 16 really doesn't matter. Because the only two characters, who remain their jobs are Jen and Caitlin. And Caitlin, we don't really... she doesn't get presented as a responsible, worker. Especially not initially. I don't understand how Caitlin is seen as irresponsible, but she seems to keep her job. And besides, Jones, his personality is one of the reasons why he would be a better salesperson. That's just that's just straightforward. He has his own charisma, his charm. That is what he's gonna use to to sell others. And for Jan, she always plays by the rules. I don't know. I don't think that's gonna get you all the sales. I think Jan is all by the books, by the numbers. But that's just my point of view. In the next scene, we're at Spin This, and Serena is wearing a new bandana. I think it looks good on her. I like the brown and the chocolate colors. I think it suits her. Also, it isn't just Jonesy that ruins this episode. The second plot with Wyatt and Serena also adds to the reason why I don't like this episode. Just a news flash, Serena is wearing Chaz's bandana. So okay, that's cool. She's wearing Chaz's bandana. And guess what? Serena used to be Chaz's girlfriend. They broke up. And it's funny, isn't it? They had a episode where why needs to learn how to be mature and things like that. Why it needs to be mature for Serena, real mature Wyatt. And this is where I start to compare Wyatt to Ross. You really see Wyatt's paranoia personality. He's jealous of Serena, who used to go out with Chad. He just can't control his emotion when, he's seeing Serena with her old ex. And, this is where I'm saying, why is part of the problem? You wanted to pursue Serena, but, you think Serena is a problem? In the next scene, we're at Stickit, and Jude is selling kebabs to Stanley, but he chucks it on the ground. And then Yummy Mummy completely dumps him on Jude. She just makes Jude babysit for her. She's just a bad parent. I can't believe her. Uh, I'm just gonna say it. Yummy Mummy sucks as a parent. And Stanley is the worst devil child ever. I don't think I ever liked this kid growing up. He's just the worst. I mean, I don't even have to say it. Nikki explained it for me about how Wyatt's thought process is like ridiculous. Like Wyatt creates a problem without any evidence or nothing. I don't know. I feel like I need to make a separate video on Wyatt. Maybe someday. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think Wyatt's a problem in the relationship between Wyatt and Serena? And I'm pretty sure like Nikki was sarcastic about, Wyatt offering, bandana to Serena. And like Nikki said, like, so what if, she's wearing someone's bandana, like Chad's bandana? It's a freaking bandana. Like, Wyatt, get over it. Honestly, sometimes you just wear your ex's, clothes because, it looks good on you. There's no meaning attached to it. And of course, like Serena isn't gonna be attached to Chad. We have established that like Serena is a mature person. But I do think Jonesy does make a valid point here. Um, I think we established that like Jen is a pick too sooner. Okay, Jen and Jonesy have same level of sales. Jonesy doesn't even try, and Jen tries a lot. This is something that's important to be said about like Jen and Jonesy, and especially Jonesy. He's that type of person who doesn't try and still gets accomplishments. And I think that's something important to be said. Like, you don't have to try hard to get accomplishments. Yes, Jen is a rules follower, and Jonesy isn't that sort of person. And that's the difference. And I think that's true about Jonesy's perception to like Jen. She is when you achieve a success, you you just go downhill afterwards. And this makes me think about each of the characters enneagram type. I'm just gonna say this for Jan and Jonesy. I think Jan is a type 1 and Jonesy is a type 3. And this really shows like how both of these characters do in success. Jen might do a lot and won't get the success, and Jonesy might not do a lot and will get the success. You kind of have to think like a type 3 to get that success. So Jen, shouldn't be surprised. This is natural for Jonesy. Maybe I should do a video talking about each 16 characters, MBTI and Enneagram types. I think that will be interesting to do a video on. So I'm gonna do a video possibly about why possibly being a terrible a boyfriend or a terrible person to Serena, who could possibly be a problematic person. And I could do a video on guessing each character's MBTI or Enneagram types, those sort of thing. If you're into that kind of stuff, let me know in the comments. And yes, Jonesy is probably a better salesperson than Jen. I can say that. But he really doesn't need to be a jerk about it towards Jen. Like, he's nothing but mean to her. I do think it's hilarious though that Jonesy sold off like a fake kayak to this old man. It's meant for display, so it's not a functioning kayak. Bad things always happen to this guy. Coach Halder screams like the most misogynistic man ever. So Coach Halder, plans to go on a dinner with, Jonesy. I can bet you he can never do that for Jen. I also don't know why Jonesy agreed to, babysit Stanley in the first place. That little weasel just created a fire in his store. And that rat Stanley just punched Jude in the balls. And he said, like, what he likes to do is make babysitters cry. I mean, I wouldn't mind it if Jude made Stanley cry. Because, that's what he deserves. Kids like this, at this point, you don't just, let them pass. You have to, like, give them fear. And why is giving me more reason to, like, despise him this episode? And thank God we have someone like Caitlin or Nikki having common sense. And why would you not listen to Caitlin, who's like probably like the fashion forward of the group? Like, why about a bandana with hockey sticks on it? It's obviously not gonna be, Serena's style. Like, even me, someone who's not good at fashion, I know that like Serena would not like this. And obviously, like me and Kaylin are thinking the same thing. Why he just bought this first thing, he saw? Like, he didn't think deeply about Serena. Why would you, like, why are you jealous of, Serena dating Chad when you can't even think deeply, like, what Serena might like? This is the flaw I have with Wyatt. Like, I don't think he, like, thinks about what Serena would like. Like, this goes back to like his previous episodes with Serena. He really picks out the cliche date for his Valentine's Day. Remember, he would just give flowers and chocolate. I personally would not mind if, Wyatt gave flowers and chocolate for Serena, but it's like the most cliche thing in the book. And I'm pretty sure, like, at that time, Nikki and Josie said the same thing. And how does he expect to love, his gifts if he doesn't have a thought in them? Also, with the thing he did with Valentine's Day with like flowers and chocolate, it makes me think what like a simple person would do, like to love bomb someone. And it just makes me think of what like Ross would do in France. He just gives out the most basic cliche. I think, Wyatt tries too hard to be romantic, but, it just doesn't work. Got to love Ron, though. And Jude and Stanley are just banging hammers onto, like, public display. And you know what? Jude mentions, like, Yummy Mummy, like, spent 3 hours without Stanley. You know what? I would just, like, abandon Stanley. If Stanley gets lost, it's her fault. And it's quite obvious like Stanley can handle himself. Like, remember that time when like Jude used that cream all over his body? And he tried to drag his body with a skateboard and he bumped into Stanley? Why does he need a babysitter if Stanley can do things by himself? And then Josie has to open his stupid big yap trap. And it doesn't even connect to what Jen has said. Like Jen said nothing about Jonesy being a guy. She didn't even bring anything sex oriented. Like Jen really wants Jonesy to like work with Jen as a team. Like they should be cooperating, not competing. And honestly, Jen should take that in her own advice. But Jonesy, opened his open big fat mouth. He just spilled the beans. And with his mouth, he just proves like what a sexist, misogynistic person he is. Without any thought whatsoever, he just says like, "Oh, guys are just better at that than girls," with no solid proof or evidence. And you know what? Because Jonesy is so sexist and misogynistic, I can't, think of anything but say like, I hate Jonesy. If he wasn't this way, I could have liked Jonesy a lot better. It sucks because Jonesy is a fun character, but the moment he throws in his sexist mouth, I can't respect him or like him whatsoever. All the praise I have for him goes out the window. It's a shame because in the last episode, I've been praising Jonesy for the whole episode. And with that, he opens the worst gender war ever. Anyway, to start off this stupid, gender war, Nikki and Jude have a staring competition, and Jude quickly loses, proving with girls having the first point. And honestly, this proves nothing. Even if Jude or Nikki lost, this doesn't mean like a girl or a boy are superior. It only just proves like Nikki is a better staring competition than Jude. And for the next challenge, the boys come up with it. They had to do a blind lemon chugging challenge, and it's Jonesy versus Caitlin. I mean, they really should have thought this through. A blind lemon challenge, and Caitlin works out the lemon squeeze. Why did Jonesy think like she could beat Caitlin in this? Like Caitlin must have, drank a lot of like a bad lemon juice in her job. And I'm also sure like Kayla would like put like weird things in her body as well. Like that's probably worse than lemon juice. Like if she wants to like stay beautiful and things like that. I feel like Kayla's that type of person that would take like the Slim World, smoothies, just to stay skinny. And I also like I'm not even choosing favorites, but the boys should have seen this coming anyway. Also, I do think this challenge is pretty hilarious that they do a lemon chugging challenge. I do find it interesting because they have to drink like pure lemon juice, no sugar added. So it's like pretty sour. But this kind of makes me think of like adult things. Like the drinking challenge that people will do. Like take a shot every time you see something challenge. And honestly, this doesn't prove again like if girls are better or boys are better. Like Kaylin just did this better because she did it better than Jonesy. It really proves nothing. But at the same time, like yeah, it's expected that Kaylin would win this because she works out the lemon squeeze. But it's also not like proving Jonesy. Like the girls beat you like 2-0. So even if it meant something, the girls are just wiping the floor with you guys. Also, it seems like they don't want to give up. So in the next challenge, they do dares for each other. And I feel like it's kind of unfair. I think this was supposed to be between Wyatt and Jen, who are remaining left. And they just give a dare for Wyatt, but they don't give one for Jen. Or possibly other girls. Yes, Wyatt fails the dare, but they didn't give one for the girls. Like if they did a dare for the girls and showed like one of them giving up, that would justify it. So they kind of dare Wyatt to like buy a tea magazine, pink lipstick, and some tampons. I honestly think tampons alone should, seal his fate. I wonder if any guys are confident in buying those things. Well, definitely not those macho boys like Wyatt, Jonesy, and Jude. Honestly, if you were really confident, you'd be able to buy whatever you can. Also, why did Wyatt give up so easily? He just could have come up with something if he's like, too afraid to do this. First of all, the workers, aren't going to be bothered by this because, their job is to sell the things. And even then, he could just say, like, these are things for, his girlfriend or mother or siblings. But anyway, this means that the boys lost 3 times. I mean, this should prove Jonesy right. Even though, like, Jan, Kaylin, or Nikki didn't do their dares, I think it's unfair all round. Also, even though Jonesy and the boys lost 3 times, Jonesy still thinks like the boys are better than girls. Like he doesn't know when to give up. Also, in his logic, if he's gonna show like the boys are better, that means he's gonna have to do like 4 challenges to prove that boys are better than girls. Also, his rule is kind of flawed. He says that if they win the next one, the winner takes all. I'm sorry, I don't know what world you're living in. That's not how it works, Jonesy. Anyway, we get some news from Jude. So Yummy Mummy comes back and gives Jude some like £20 or something, just for doing that for her. And I guess that's nice of her. At least that's something. But that means like Jude has a job out of this now. So technically, I can include this to my like jobs list in my YouTube shorts. So technically speaking, this is Jude's second job. Anyway, for the fourth challenge, the characters have to eat like 30 kebabs. And Jen and Jude are taking this challenge. This is kind of cruel, I'm gonna say. Have you ever eaten 30 kebabs in one sitting? I can't imagine doing that. So what they have to do is like go on the roller coaster and they have to do it without barfing. I can see myself throwing up before I ride the roller coaster. So this wouldn't work out for me. And anyway, at the end of the roller coaster ride, Jude won this round and Jen, tossed her vomits. This means that the boys won this round, so it should be 3-1. Honestly, this proves nothing, but it just shows like, yeah, the girls still beat you guys. It doesn't matter what Jonesy has said, the girls won over them. And it's funny though, like Jonesy can make excuses to like have more challenges, but when Nikki does it, she can't do that. Why did the writers think this was as acceptable? In this episode, Jonesy really showcases what a terrible person he is. He is a terrible person, he's a terrible stepbrother, and he's a terrible friend. Why are they friends with him? This episode really puts Jonesy at a negative light here. They really present Jonesy as like this arsehole. And when he does something like this, it just ruins what his good qualities are. And Jonesy has some nerve telling Jen being gracious in defeat is a sign of maturity. He has no, right to say that. At this point, you just made Jonesy like the least self-aware, selfish, villainous arsehole. I have nothing positive to say about him this episode. And honestly, I'm not even, bring up his hypocrisy. I would suggest Jan just burning him down with a torch fire. And if he cries, I have no sympathy for him. You know what is really sad? Is that Jonesy can be compared to other characters from other shows, like Reef from Stoked, Beck from Victorious, and Joey from Friends. But I feel like it's like, yes, you can share the comparison, like they're all ladies, men. But none of them are as jerkish and, lack self-awareness like Jonesy has. And I prefer them over Jonesy any day. Also, I have no respect for Coach Halder. I didn't like him growing up, and I can see why I don't like him now. And why it's starting to give me reason not to like him. It's not as bad as Jonesy, but And he wonders why, they have a terrible relationship afterwards. Like Serena isn't the problem, it's Wyatt. Like Caitlyn said it to Wyatt, like hockey sticks doesn't go with Serena's style. Like, did he even give any thought to her? And honestly, like bandana with hockey sticks, that is something what I would imagine someone like Jude, Jonesy, or Chad would wear. It's not something I would imagine Serena wearing. Why not something music related if you wanted something to do with bandanas? Because Serena is in a music star. Or why not go for something really simple? It's not that hard, Wyatt. I think if I was Serena, I would give him the right mind. Like, give him the cold shoulder. Like, Wyatt's really crazy about this. He really, showing himself like Ross would do, like possessive, jealous, and all the negative above. You know what is a shame? Like Wyatt and Ross have the similar thing. They present themselves like the nice guy. Like you're supposed to like what they give you because they're really nice. They present themselves like a hero, like a damsel in distress. But honestly, it just makes someone like Wyatt or Ross like a narcissist. I recommend checking a channel called The Take, and they do a video about the nice guy trope. Note that there's nothing wrong with being a nice guy or a nice person. It's when you use that as a shield to, to like excuse what anything you can do. And I feel like the nice guy trope is similar to like I'm not like other girls, but this is with boys. Like the nice guy trope is like, oh, I'm not like other boys. But instead, it doesn't. These characters who present themselves as nice guy, they don't look inwards. They do more things by comparing themselves to other characters who present themselves as not the nice guy. And you kind of see this with Wyatt and Ross. It's like they see themselves as like above the ones who aren't nice. I think it's worth looking into about these characters. And it really seems like Jude really got a career out of his babysitting gig because two more parents want Jude to babysit for them. This means two more bratty childs to control. So the kids continue to mess with Jude, and one of the kid like cooks his skating board. But hey, at least he gets paid for this. I'm not even sure who the other two kids are, but I'm sure that girl has a different parent a few episodes later. And okay, piranha mode now. This girl just bites Jude's leg after eating chocolate. Like, sweet and sugary things apparently make kids hyperactive. I guess why not just give them like a terror, like make them watch something really scary. And why it's really petty? He doesn't even bother calling Serena. But Serena said like why never called her. But why did she never call him? That could have solved the issue. Anyway, when things don't work out, Jude tries to, getting help from Wyatt to help him babysit for him. I love Caitlin and Nikki, just saving this episode for me. It just feels satisfying when the boys are getting, what they deserve for like what they put the girls through. And then later, Jude gets some help from Jonesy, and they split the kids between each other. You got to hate the kids though; they're like little rascals. Also, I think I mentioned before how like Stanley isn't cute, but this kid that Jonesy babysit isn't all that cute either. I mean, what is with his haircut? At least the girl is cute. She's kind of like a mini Caitlyn. He looks like a monkey. But okay, that's just a weird request that Wyatt gave. He wanted to borrow Serena's bandana so he can play cowboy with, this kid. And somehow Serena, gives it to him. I wouldn't trust Wyatt with this bandana after, him stressing over it. Also playing bandana with as a cowboy and with this kid, like, shouldn't Serena know that's the kind of like fishy? If you're playing a game with your kid, kids ruin things. So obviously this isn't gonna go down well. Why did Serena accept this? Also with this girl, she completely wrecks the spin this display case. If Wyatt doesn't do something, he'll get fired. I'm surprised he's not fired already, or done by Serena. And initially, I never thought this relationship was cute. It's not even wholesome. A relationship between Wyatt and Serena is just like I never enjoyed it in the long run. I think Wyatt spends most of his time with being resentful towards Serena. Stanley is like a kid created from hell. That's how, terrible he is. Stanley from 16 makes Angela Pickle from Rugrats seem like an angel. Anyway, our penalty box, we see what's happening over there. Josie thinks giving chocolate to this kid will make things better. But what happened is, kids are going to be kids, right? And obviously, well, it seems like the kid was covered in chocolate, so he must have messed up the display. And chocolate is everywhere. And you know what? It's kind of satisfying seeing Coach Halder getting some pain with these kids. After everything he put Jen through. And honestly, with Jonesy crying, I really wouldn't give a fuck about him. He did this to himself. Josie really come across like an insecure, pathetic man. I would pepper spray his eyes. Also, the girls, try to provide solution, and I'm pretty sure that's not it. Their solution for this is maybe give these kids some nap. I bet all these parents or babysitters who are watching this probably know this isn't the way. First of all, how did you get these kids napping in the first place? And the kids aren't just going to nap whenever you please. You're gonna have to force them to sleep, which, they would cause more chaos towards. I really fucking hate this episode. They didn't even, finish the episode in a good note either. The boys didn't learn anything. They are still being portraying themselves as sexist boys. Even though, the girls are proving themselves, the guys really had to question that. This really proves this is the worst episode. It's a shame because 16 is one of my favorite shows from my whole childhood, but this episode is one of the worst ones. I have nothing good thing to say about it. The boys can't admit, the girls, tried helping them. Why did they make a competition in the first place? They started this argument in the first place, Jonesy with his competing with Jan. And Wyatt and Jude are innocent in this. They also contribute to this sexism. Also, this isn't a good ending for Wyatt either. He learns nothing either. He really presents himself as a possessive, jealous boyfriend who, pissed over a dumb bandana. Why can't Serena wear it because it looks good on her? Also, thank you, G, for contributing to the sexism at the end. Serena just said, oh, guys are just bad liars. She really didn't make a competition about it. Why are you making a competition about this? This episode, man, it really shows the boys in the negative light. Who cares anymore? I'm kind of sick of this episode now. And the episode ends with Stanley laughing in the screen like a little demon he is. Oh god, I need a break. Okay, now the review's over. Time to give you my summary and sharing you what I liked and disliked about this, episode. And the things I like about this episode is really short, and I have a lot of things I dislike about this episode. I'm just gonna quickly mention my the thing I liked. Okay, my favorite thing about this episode is definitely Nikki and Caitlin, roasting Wyatt and Jude when they were walking past them. I just love like them egging on them because they deserved it. But time to tell you the things I dislike about this episode. Oh boy, there's a lot. Well, I have three major things I didn't like about this episode. Well, the biggest one is obviously Jonesy and his behavior towards Jen. It's just uncalled for. He lacks self awareness, and his behavior in this episode just ruins any character from him. He really presents himself as like a sexist, misogynistic, chauvinist pig. And honestly, there was no reason for it. This is one of the few episodes that, tarnishes his personality. Like when you think of any other good things he has done before, you just forget about it because the things he did in this episode, you just can't ignore it. And he really presented himself as our worst person ever. Like this isn't like a good protagonist would do. This is an act from a villainous, arrogant antagonist. And honestly, with Jonesy's behavior, he also drags characters like Jude and Wyatt down with him because they also behave in the similar manner. I mean, there's no denying it. Like, the boys lost 3-2-1 and they still think like they're all shit. And secondly, I didn't like the second part of this episode with Wyatt, just making Serena life miserable. It, and this really makes you think about like who the problem one is in the relationship. It's Wyatt. You can say all you like about Serena's show, whatever. She's older, she's the boss, whatever. You really have to think about what Wyatt's been doing. He's like an emotional vampire. He drains any fun or anything from this relationship. Or whatever he does. That's the thing. And he really shows himself as like a negative person. He can't appreciate that Serena just wants to wear this bandana because it looks good on her, and he's too fixated that she's wearing a bandana that her ex wore. Like, Wyatt's behavior towards Serena is just unacceptable. And when I say like Wyatt, seems a lot like Ross, I really mean it. Both in his good parts and his bad, but especially his bad moments. I also did not like the third plotline of this episode. The kids are really annoying, and it's not fun to watch them. Ruining Jude's life. I did not enjoy it as a kid watching them, torment Jude, and I still don't enjoy it today. I think this could be one of the worst episodes of season 1 of 16, and maybe of 16 overall. Who knows? Maybe at the end of season 1, I might do like a top 10 or top videos, top episodes that I liked and the top episodes I disliked. And I can bet this one will be on the top 10 list of episodes I probably disliked. I think it needs to be done. And I think Ultra Nate Production has done this with his channel and he's reviewing Total Drama. If it's not a top 10, I might do a top 5 just to make things easier. Like so many potential ideas for videos in the future. You can let me know in the comments if you're down for that. Anyway, that's it for this video. I've done reviewing 16. I feel like reviewing this episode took a lot of energy out of me. I'm gonna go watch a better episode from 16. Anyway, make sure to like, share, subscribe. Share your comments down below. Let me know what you thought of this episode. And make sure to subscribe, share this channel with other people. Help this channel reach 600 subscribers. That will be a great milestone for me, for this channel, and for you guys. That way, more people will able to get this channel, and we get to enjoy things together. And just to remind you, if I do reach the 600 milestone, I might do a Q&A session in this channel, because I think, that would be a fun thing to do. I've seen other channels do it, and I think it's just a fun idea. Anyway, have a lovely day.